What's up, Pizzaholics? I'm in my hometown of Brooklyn. I'm at a place called Pizza Wagon, guys. Pretty old joint. Over 50 years old. We got some Sicilian pizza today, guys. Let's go eat. What a gorgeous place inside, guys. Gorgeous. The Formica tables, the letterboard menus. 90% of the pizzerias that I walked into growing up as a kid when I lived here in Brooklyn looked like that. The letterboard menus and the Formica tables. A lot of these slice shops in Brooklyn have the tables in front of the place. So you can just chill right there. As soon as you come out of that place, you want to eat that pizza piping hot, put that plate right on the table and eat it right there because you don't want to wait. In Staten Island, we have great pizza. We have a lot of we have good thin crust pizza out there. We have round pie, but they only make round pies. We have Danino's, they only make round pies. We have Joe and Pat's, good thin crust, but they only make round pies. Probably only in one place. Like really good Sicilian pizza that is on par with the stuff you can get out here in Brooklyn, in Bay Ridge, and in Bensonhurst. And that's Brother. That's the only place where I live in Staten Island that I can find a good Sicilian slice that is on par with the stuff that you can find here in Brooklyn, guys. And I don't know how good Pizza Wagon is. I've never had it. I've lived in Bensonhurst for 20 years. I've lived, this isn't Bensonhurst, we're in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn right now, Bay Ridge. But this is one of those typical Brooklyn joints. And Bay Ridge is basically right next door to where I grew up in Bensonhurst. This is one of those classic Brooklyn joints, man. Look at that. That's what you want. When it comes to Sicilian pizza, you want some mozzarella stretch. Sicilian pizzas are heavily topped with cheese. They're thicker, obviously, and people love them for that reason. And the reason why Sicilian pizza is made in a thicker fashion, because in Sicily they made focaccia. They didn't call it pizza, they called it focaccia. It was a very thick bread and topped with tomato usually, and cheese or many other toppings. And that's why Sicilian pizza is a lot thicker than New York round pizza. So let's give it a bite. Let's give it a whirl. Does it have that crispy foundation? Is it fluffy in the center? Let's find out, guys. It's cheesy as hell and it smells delicious. Let me give you guys a look at that sauce because there's so much cheese on this pizza. It will be very difficult to discern what the sauce looks like. It's safe to say it's a nice bright tomato sauce. And on the runny side, you know how I love that. They didn't even put this pizza in the oven for a reheat. It came right out of the oven. They took 2 slices and gave it to me. Boy, is this thing juicy. All right, guys, let's move into the lab and analyze this scrumptious. Not perfect, but scrumptious nonetheless. That's right, guys. If I were to define a Brooklyn, New York style Sicilian, it would be scrumptious in one word. A hefty little pizza right here, guys. A little more rectangular than you usually find out here. Usually the Sicilian pizzas are, well, square, which is what they're also known for being called. They're often referred to as squares. This one's a little more rectangular, which is odd and unusual. But as for the pizza itself and the taste, not too unusual, guys. This is a very generic New York style Sicilian, and better than average. Better than many of the squares. Better than many of the Sicilians I can find in Staten Island. That's for sure. But it's not the best. This isn't on par with L&B or Da Vinci's, in my opinion. It didn't have that crispy bottom. Not too much char. Not exactly pale, but brown. But It was a little chewy and gummy, but there's some crisp along the edges, but not much, guys. What I did get, however, folks, with this Sicilian was a complete blanket of delicious low moisture mozzarella. You're gonna get good cheese on a Sicilian pizza because they don't want it to be too greasy, and they put a lot of cheese on Sicilian. If they were using cheap cheese on a Sicilian pizza, it would be so greasy, and it would not be a pleasure to eat, that's for sure. I showed you the sauce earlier, guys. It's going to be very difficult to see it now, but I was surprised by it. Yeah, it was sour. There was a hint of sourness. I don't know if it's because of the citric acid. I'm not sure why the sauce had a little sour note to it. The star of the show, guys, is the cheese. When you order Sicilian, unless it's an upside down Sicilian like L&B, when you order Sicilian, the star of the show is that gooey cheese right there, guys. Yeah. The pizza cooled down a little bit. It's a Sicilian, so we don't give it another fold, but we're going to see if the texture of the pizza changed. The pizza cooled down, but the bottom of this pizza is so hot. The Sicilian pizza is so rich that it retains its heat. It's like a Chicago style, but not quite, but you know what I mean. It takes a while to cool down and probably longer to cook. Not the best Sicilian, guys. It's not L&B, it's not Da Vinci, it's not Brothers in Staten Island. This is a style of pizza that was the only thing you can get, really, here in New York before the mid-90s. After 1995, we started to see all the brick oven stuff and all the artisanal stuff. We had the coal oven stuff here. We always had Totono's and Lombardi's and Patsy's and John Zablica. We always knew those places were the best pizzas. But besides those places, if you wanted pizza anywhere else in the city, it was always going to look like this before the 90s, when the brick oven thing started to hit the fad. And now you're starting to see another pizza renaissance come into play, and people are looking for more unique spins on pizzas aside from this common stuff, this generic stuff. So what am I going to rate a pizza like this? For all its flaws, it was still very tender. Yeah, it didn't have the crispy foundation. I want a crispy bottom on my Sicilian. I want a crispy foundation and a fluffy center. This was fluffy. It wasn't too dense. It was gummy. It was chewy, but it wasn't bready, or it wasn't too dense. Despite not having that crispy bottom, despite being a little floppy, not firm, it still was pretty fluffy, pillowy, and tender, guys. So I'm going solid 7.5. 7.5. Solid score. I think that's the right score for this pizza. Tasty nonetheless, guys. Oh, that cheese. A little nostalgia today. Not the greatest pizza. Pizza is evolving in the world, in the city. But nostalgia, folks. You walk into a place like that, the memories start to spring up in your mind when you were a kid, and you walked into these places out here, and these pizzas, this is what I grew up on. This is what I always knew them to look like and taste like. So nostalgia, not the best, but nostalgia, guys. Factor that into the experience. Be well, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Smash that like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, keep those bellies full, preferably with some good Sicilian New York pizza. This is Antonio signing off.